If you're visiting Sonoma and you're a foodie, then you cannot miss a trip to the mothership. There is an iconic gem right off the square, and that is the original Williams Sonoma store. If the logo doesn't look quite right to you, that's because this is the original logo. It's been modified a couple times over the year, but you can see here it started off as a pineapple and it still is a pineapple. A little bit of history: the pineapple has always been a sign of wealth and welcome. In colonial America, pineapples were rare and expensive and hard to come by. You could even rent a pineapple if you were having guests over and you wanted to impress them, but you couldn't afford to have one for yourself. The black and white floor that you see here marks the original footprint of the shop. In 1953, Chuck Williams traveled to Paris with friends, and it was on that trip that he discovered French cookware that inspired him to come back and convert his hardware store into a home cook's cookware store. This makes perfect sense when you think about that he visited a venerable shop in Paris called Dehillerin. The shop is known for its professional cookware and tools, and even today, the retail experience and the displays look much more like the storeroom of a hardware store than they do like a high-end retail experience that we would expect here in the States. In 1956, Americans had very little access to professional quality tools, so Chuck began importing them. Copper pans from France, knives from Germany, and espresso makers from Italy. His mission was to give home cooks the chance to cook like chefs, and that vision shaped not only the brand, but it really changed the face of all retail. I think it comes as no surprise to any of you that I watch a lot of YouTube. One of my guilty pleasures is watching people restore chateaus in France. Hit me up if you have the names of any channels you think I should add to my list. So imagine my delight when I rounded the corner and found this, a La Cornue oven. I did not know that Williams Sonoma was an American purveyor of this brand. It's pretty spectacular. In Paris, in 1908, a man named Albert Dupois invented the world's first convection oven, and La Cornue was born. This store was closed sometime in the 90s and then lovingly restored and reopened just in time for Chuck Williams' 99th birthday celebration. One of the things that they incorporated into the remodel is this beautiful collection of copper. I would like to believe that many of these pans were in Chuck's original personal inventory. It's kind of a cliche that nobody wants grandma's china anymore. It's hard to give away sets of dishware and fine glasses, and yet Williams Sonoma is pushing against that cliche by offering a whole line of vintage dishes and vintage etched glass. I'm told that they're selling very well, and the line expands every year. So take that, cliche. Herringbone floor and farmhouse wooden table? Yes, please. Everywhere you turn, there's some new delight or inspiration. Here's Stanley Tucci's line of cookware. Have you been watching his series? Of course I have. The centerpiece kitchen here is also a demonstration place and a place for classes. Imagine having this much counter space to work with. Going upstairs, it's almost like we're allowed to have a behind-the-scenes tour. The space has been remodeled over the years, but originally, this is the apartment over the hardware store. And I was told that Chuck and his mother lived here for many years. Here we see a broader range of the family of products offered, and the apartment perfectly showcases the Williams Sonoma home line. The furniture is classic and traditional. They have pieces that could be mixed in really with almost any decor. I was excited to see this interpretation of the Morris campaign style furniture. That is a mid-century brand that was famous in the late 60s and early 70s. And now I have seen it on a few of my Eichler tours that I've been on. I'll drop a link to those videos here. And finally, the kitchen in its original place. I'm sure it's been remodeled, but this is where maybe I can picture Chuck himself would have stood experimenting with the tools that he had just brought back from Europe. And finally, the inspiration carries on outside, behind the store. Williams Sonoma features a full range of outdoor furniture, from dining to lounging to cooking. On the average day in wine country, most people have been touring vineyards. These are typically stately buildings with really grand proportions. They occupy large pieces of land and often come with the vineyard, and very well manicured and presented public outdoor spaces that incorporate the very best of the Sonoma landscape. But in this backyard, they have not lost the scale of a normal house backyard. And so as I walked around, it was easy for my mind's eye to translate what I was seeing here into different areas of my own backyard. I especially love the arbor that they have trained with vines over it. So before you head over to the Girl and the Fig for dinner, make sure that you give a little time to stop and visit the original Williams Sonoma store.